Salutations, my name is Summer and this is Cozy Reading with Quaker Cats. And I wanted to say happy birthday to Stephen King. Today he turns 74, if I have that right. Anyway, I wanted to do my top 10 favorite books, but of course I couldn't just come up with 10. I did manage to take it down to 11, but then again I have honorable mentions, and then I have at the end two books I really want to get to that I'm excited about. So I figure what's a better day to talk about Stephen King than his birthday. So I try to hide how crazy of a Stephen King fan I am, but I'm not just a fan of him. I love his wife Tabitha King, her books. I just wish they would bring them back out and reprint them. I met her actually when I was a teenager and had her sign one of my books. And I also love his son, Joe Hill. Owen, I have a book of his, but I haven't read it yet. So I'm not sure, but I'm sure I'll like it. Okay, so let's do honorable mentions first. And this is all just I'm just not organized because I love all of these books. So I feel like there are a couple that I would say are my favorites, but a lot of them are on the same level of love, if that makes any sense. So, okay, the honorable mentions. I want to mention The Storm of the Century. This is a screenplay. I do not like screenplays, but I love this. And this is actually a movie. They turned this, well, it's a screenplay. So anyway, I enjoyed the movie. I love the book. I love how Stephen King can take us someplace and make us feel the isolation and put you in a situation where you have only two choices, you know? So I'm going to be very vague with these books because I love to go into books blind, and there is nothing like going into a Stephen King book and not knowing what is going to be coming at you. Okay, so another one is The Dead Zone, and here again we're put to this difficult decision of what would you do if you knew what was going to happen in the future, and you thought that you knew you could change an outcome, and a devastating outcome. What would you do? Let's see. Do Macke. I haven't really heard very many people talk about this book. I loved it. It feels very different. I'm not sure why, but I felt like it feels different than the other of King's books. Maybe it's because it's set in Florida, you know, which most of his books are set in Maine. So he was doing something different here. And I'm pretty sure he has a Florida home now. So he goes back and forth, I think, if I'm correct there. Anyway, I love this. You know, a man has an accident. He moves down to Florida, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But there's a lot of, like, you know, magical realism, like all these things that are happening. Okay, another one, Firestarter. This was also a movie. The book's way better. I mean, the movie I saw when I was a kid, so I don't really remember it. I know Drew Barrymore was in it when she was a child, but the book, I mean, to me is so realistic in a way, because I do believe in certain things, and we do know that there was government testing on people, whether it was voluntary or not. So yes, Firestarter. Okay, and the last honorable mention, and it's an honorable mention because I haven't read it in so long, but when I read it, I loved it, and I still have those feelings of love for it, and that's the Tommyknockers. You know, you take a woman and her dog, and they're out in the woods, and her dog it's a beagle too, which is my favorite breed. But anyway, yeah, you're walking out in the woods, she's walking out in the woods with her dog, and you trip over something. Your dog is acting strange. You're not really sure what's going on, but you trip over this metal object and you feel this, you're just drawn to it and you just can't stop thinking about it. And you want to uncover it a little bit and you realize it's something way bigger. Like, what is this? Anyway, I love it. I want to reread it soon. So it might knock one of the 11 books off the list, but maybe not. Okay, so let's see. If we're doing this, number 11 would be... Sorry. Too many books here. Number 11 is going to be The Dark Half. I read this first time when I was 14. I read it again a couple years later. I don't want to say anything about it. You might have seen it. This was a movie too. I didn't watch the movie. I think it came out when I was a teenager. But I always worry about the whole thing with, losing your mind. What is real? What is not real? Somebody taking your identity and doing horrible things. That would just be a huge, huge fear. So there is a lot of violence. I remember there is a bad man who, I was 14 when I first read this. So there's this man who likes women with long dark hair, and I had long dark hair, and I remember going and cutting my hair. Cutting my hair after reading this book because I was like, oh my gosh. Anyway, so that was number 11. Number 10 is underneath that one. This is Under the Dome. How I came to this book was I actually saw that, I didn't know that he had written it, and I saw that the TV show was coming on, the TV series. So I watched a couple episodes, and then I thought, I don't want to wait next week. I don't want to have to wait a whole week to find out what happens. So I went and I got the book and I read it. So it's been years. I loved it. The reason why it's number 10 is because I've only read it once, and there's so much that happens, but I loved the idea of this. I love to hate a lot of the characters. And I actually loved the ending. It really had me thinking about things. So, okay, number 9. Let me set these down. Number 9 is going to be one I just reread, and this is The Drawing of the Three. And I read this with a great group of people. We actually had a live show over on Stacy's All Booked, her channel. So, and it was so much fun. We read The Gunslinger together also, and that was over on Steve Talks About Books channel. And next month we'll be back on Stacy's channel talking about The Wastelands, the 3rd book. So the reason why this is number 9 is because it's a series. It's a part of a series. So I don't feel like it can really stand on its own, because you want to know more, of course, by the ending. You're on this journey. And I do feel like The Gunslinger is important, even though I dislike it. I feel like it's important because it does set you up a little bit. I mean, especially the ending when it talks about the 3. So I love this book. I love the characters that are introduced. I just love all the questions that it brings and all the little insights. So yes, it's number 9. So number 8, I'm going to say, is Pet Sematary. And this book is heartbreaking. I think it has to be one of his saddest books, honestly. I mean, Cujo is really sad also, anyway, I could see how he would want to do, the main character would want to do what he did. I'm not sure I wouldn't do the same thing, even not knowing or thinking it might be a negative outcome. I think I still would probably do it. I'm one of those people that's what's wrong with the world. Because, my love for my animals is just so strong that, yeah. Anyway, it's such a great book. I did not watch the new movie. I watched the old one when it first came out because of some of the actors. But yeah, I didn't watch the new one. So you have to let me know if you guys liked the new movie or not. Okay, the next one on the list, let's see. Oh, I'm stuck between two. You know, I just really, okay. I'm going to say Misery. So Misery, I think most of us know what this is about. This is the first time I think I read a book in just a couple days. I mean, I just fell into this world, and Paul, the idea, Paul Sheldon, you know, he's a writer, and the idea of somebody kidnapping you, helping you. I mean, she saved his life, but now he's trapped. So, I mean, it's just fantastic. The descriptions are amazing. Okay, next. The Long Walk. Okay, so The Long Walk, this is actually a short story in another of his selections. Not short story, novella. I mean, I want to read something out to you. So, every year on the 1st of May, 100 teenage boys meet for an event known throughout the country as The Long Walk. Among this year's chosen crop is 16-year-old Ray Garrity. He knows the rules, that warnings are issued if you fall under speed, stumble, sit down, that after 3 warnings, you get your ticket, and what happens then serves as a chilling reminder that there can be only one winner in the walk, and one that survives, the one that survives. I read this one as a teenager. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. Okay, next is The Mist. I've talked about this book before on my channel. I've read it years ago. I've read it twice, but I went to reread it. This is actually a fear of mine, and it has been a fear for a lot of different, you know, I remember hearing about Vikings fearing the mist. Anyway, yeah, where I live in the foothills, like I live down in a valley. And so when the mist comes up, it just is completely blinding. Sometimes I've been driving and I live in such of a kind of like a wild area that the main road follows a creek line. So we have so many deer and coyotes and different animals. So it's like, I'm always afraid of hitting something. And in the mist, you just cannot see anything. It's so thick. Yeah, I love this book. I love the ending of the movie more. But yeah, it's great. Okay, I got 4 left. So, gosh, where do they stand? Oh, well, The Stand will be next. So I've read this book 3 times. I think most of you guys know what The Stand is about. There are characters in the Dark Tower. There is a character in the Dark Tower that's in here. Even though I've read this 3 times, I feel like I need to read it more. I just feel, there's something about Stephen King's books that I read them and then, you know, you sit and it marinates. But then when you read them a second time, you're like, oh my gosh. And I think it's also because his books are so connected, you know, and it's easy now for me to read a book and, well, like I just read The Drawing of the Three for the second time, and somebody in our group said, oh, did you catch the Shining reference? Well, I didn't, because whenever I do read a Stephen King book, he always mentions either a character or something. And so it just slides past me now when I should be paying closer attention. I'm just like, oh yeah, The Shining. Instead of like, oh yeah, that's connected to, you know, this book or whatever. So anyway, I love The Stand. I love how it starts out. When COVID came, I wanted to reread it, but I didn't read it for a 4th time. I haven't yet. Okay, the last 3. Okay, this book I've been wanting to reread for years. So, anyway, it's Needful Things. It's been calling to me for the past 2 years at least. I know last year I mentioned about how I wanted to reread it. So this is about a town where a new shop owner comes in, and he opens up a shop that has everything that anybody could possibly need. And I mean, this is an old story of when somebody gives you, like when you actually are able to have something that you really want or need, what are the prices or consequences that come with that? It's almost like how you hear about fairies giving gifts, or it's like, what price do you have to pay for it? So love it. Love the characters in there. Okay, so next, number 2 is Lisi's story. I am rereading this. I'm rereading a different edition with a great group of people. Some of them are already finished with it. I'm not. I've been really taking my time and reading it slowly. I love this cover because I don't know if you really can see with my lighting, but I just feel like this cover says so much more than the edition I'm reading right now. But the one I'm reading has better print. Not that this is bad. Anyway, but Lisi, so her husband died 2 years ago. I'm not giving anything away because it's in the very beginning you find this out. And it's really, well, something is happening. But it's about, she was married to a famous writer. And when he died, everybody was coming at her, for his work. They were wanting to see what works he had left. And it's also a lot about her and her husband's relationship, Scott. And I love that. I love the little details of the marriage and, the struggles and complications, yet the love that they have between each other. So I'm really enjoying this. And it's, I thought it was my favorite, and then I realized that I had forgotten about On Writing. On Writing is my absolute favorite Stephen King book. My favorite thing about all of his books is his letter to us, the constant reader. That it always feels personal. I know, it makes me sound crazy. It always sounds personal, like he is talking to me as a constant reader. I love hearing about his family. I love hearing about how the ideas came to him. I love hearing about his life. So it makes me sound a bit obsessed with King. And I am, even though I don't want to be. And I worry about him all the time. I mean, when he had his accident, I was just a wreck. I mean, and here I am, like, getting emotional about thinking about, the day. Anyway, so I loved On Writing and hearing about his thoughts and all that. So 2 books I'm really looking forward to reading. I can't believe I got all emotional about that. I'm so crazy. Okay, 2 books I'm looking forward to that I would love to fit in this year. I don't know how it's going to happen. And one of them is going to take time to read. My little Rolo's been up there sleeping this whole time. He's been such a quiet, good boy. But anyway, The Talisman, which is by Stephen King and Peter Straub. Anyway, this is the first book in it. I think it's just a duology. I think it's just this one in the Black House, if I'm correct. I don't know what this is about. I've just heard people, which I like going in blind. I've just heard people say that it's really good. And then this was a gift given to me. Oh gosh. I want to say it was maybe 2004. This was a gift. I haven't read it yet because I thought, I want to read all of his books before I read this, which is silly. I know I've read over half of his collection. I haven't figured it out where I stand. And Stephen King, there's 2 new ones I haven't read yet. I have read The Institute and If It Bleeds, but I haven't read Later or Billy Summers. Is that the name of the newest one? So it's like trying to keep up with King. That's the thing. I don't want to read. I'm that way with all authors that I love. I don't want to read all of their works because I want there to be works sitting for me to have for later. But with King, I really don't have to worry about that because he writes so much. I would have plenty to read. So anyway, this is the Stephen King universe. And yeah, I'm interested in hearing what these people have to say about Steve, because this isn't by Stephen King. And so I wish it was. I'm sure he does have some out that's about that he has written himself. Anyway, that is, those are my favorite Stephen King novels. As you know, Cujo wasn't, like I mentioned Cujo when I was talking about another book. Cujo is about something, I feel like it's about something different than most people think it's about. Like, I don't feel like it's about the dog Cujo. I feel like it's has an underlining meaning to it, but I did enjoy it. I can't think of any Stephen King book that I didn't enjoy, you know, even if it's not a favorite. So I'd love to hear what Stephen King books that you love. Michael K. Vaughan, I believe that he did this. I'll link him down below. And Maza, the booktuber, I just watched his video today. And yeah, knowing it's Stephen King's birthday, I thought I should do it. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope everybody has a great day, and happy birthday, Stephen King. Bye.